And we did it, and it was amazing. It was so much fun. All the different eras of this brand, from the Gymkhana films to the early daily transmission days to the events, the whole part of it, it has been just the absolute best trip.
Today we're going to be talking about one of the hottest topics in car culture recently. What exactly is going on at Hoonigan? So whether you love or hate Hoonigan as a company, you cannot deny that they have changed the automotive space and how we interact with it forever.
You're goddamn right.
But today they seem to be a shell of what they were just a few years ago. And to understand why this is a big deal and what exactly is happening, we have to go all the way back and talk about the beginning. Before Hoonigan, there was 0 to 60 magazine. It was a print publication started by Brian Scotto in 2007. It was originally supposed to be a lifestyle magazine and one that focused on car guys doing car things. Shortly after the launch of 0 to 60, Ken Block, riding high on the sale of DC shoes and now a well-placed world rallycross driver, would find his good buddy Brian and they would film a little thing called Gymkhana Practice. Now, Gymkhana Practice was B-roll edits uploaded to Ken Block's personal YouTube channel, and it's unofficially called Gymkhana 1. It was a huge hit. It gained over 15 million views, and at the time that was unheard of, especially considering that in 2008 YouTube was still in its infancy. And from what I can tell, after the success of that video, the big smart brain on Brian Scotto's 8-foot shoulders began thinking about how they could take their print publication and turn it into a film media lifestyle brand, or whatever the fuck we want to call it. So in 2010, 0 to 60 magazine shut down and Hoonigan was born. And that's not at all what the website claims today, but we're going to get into that in just a little bit. Hoonigan over the next few years from 2010 to 2013 would focus on just finding their place. Their first ever YouTube video on their own channel would be a quick edited montage showing exactly what the title says. And it was a perfect video to showcase quite literally how they want to be defined as a brand. And this new company with a name that suggests rebellion was being marketed as a company that dealt with cars, but ran as a company that sold skateboards, which is just marketing genius at this point in time in America. And by the mid-2010s, they were well underway to being a very successful automotive media company, with half a dozen Gymkhana films being made, with millions of views each, and great coverage of all things cars. The guys at Hoonigans were making quite a name for themselves. But in 2018, Hoonigan released this video. What is daily transmission? Personally, this is where I think Hoonigan took off as the lifestyle brand they would be known as for the next 5 to 6 years between then and now. Not only is this around the time that viewers started to associate guys like Zach, Vin, Hurt, and Ron with the brand, it's when they started to gain the momentum they needed to do their own events, grow as a company, and sell a lot more merch, which at the end of the day, Hoonigan sells a lot of merch. That's kind of their thing. They would eventually go on to make more great videos. We got to follow the guys as they went to Baja, Mexico.
Baja update! Baja update! Baja!
Did their own events and filmed lots of more great video series such as Build Bio, Daily Transmission, Staff Inspection, and A Beer With.
That's the good stuff right there.
And it was those videos and those series that gave Hoonigan as a company this grassroots, amateur kind of vibe that people can really appreciate and align with. And over the next 2 years, they would pump out banger after banger until 2020, when the world obviously changed forever. And this is when it started to unfold, but this was for a few reasons. In the couple years leading up to the pandemic, Hoonigan grew really fast and really hard. Started doing their own Burger Yard events, inviting their viewers out to their own challenges, and were running their crew really ragged, all to fuel the Hoonigan media machine. But with the pandemic, especially in California, a lot of this had to stop. And unfortunately, when you're working from home, doing burnouts with the boys is really hard. Being at home, literally with nothing to do but watch YouTube, I would wait for the Hoonigan guys to drop a new video. And granted, the content they were making was pretty good, but I understand that it just wasn't the content that they were making before. And I hope that the pandemic would be a really good time for them to kind of like recharge the batteries and then get back into the content creation full throttle, which is what I feel like they wanted to do as a company and as creators. But in 2021, when the world started to get back to normal, it's actually when we started to see the end of Hoonigan as we knew it. Rather than Revival, 2021 marked the end of Daily Transmission, Build Bio, and lots of other good series on the channel that we'd love to watch. In 2021, Hoonigan was consumed by the corporate magnate that is Wheel Pros. So it's hard to say whether COVID or the sale of the company had to do with the change of direction for Hoonigan, but personally I believe it was a mixture of both, and them just doing too many things at once, which is great for growing the company, but really bad for reliability. And once corporations start making decisions on anything, it's usually over for the original idea. And we saw it with Roadkill around the same time that Hoonigan was becoming popular. But why is this a problem for the brand? Hoonigan as a company hasn't really changed much, so why are people saying that it's dead? This is largely because us, their supporters, weren't necessarily supporting the brand. We were supporting the figureheads that we got to watch do the cool stuff, make the cool content, and really associate with the company. And after the content shifted away from good videos to almost exclusively this versus that, we stopped seeing those familiar faces on screen. Also, I can't find a good way to incorporate this in the video, but the big shop they moved into after they left the Donut Garage, they moved out of it. DDE, Daily Driven Exotics, has taken over the space. No one knows where Hoonigan Industries has moved to. And it's just another big change for the brand that really didn't go well. Anyway, after Danger Dan left Hoonigan and took all of the good content with him, we eventually saw Hurt quit, Vin quit, Ron stepped away, and now Brian Scotto has announced late last 2023 that he is stepping away from Hoonigan basically full time.
All right, big update.
Just gonna say, I got a new job, but there's a lot more to it than that. So
He's still going to be there for consulting and helping them with bigger projects, but as we progress farther into 2021, we have yet to see any of the stuff that the viewers actually liked about Hoonigan make a return to the channel and to the company. It looks like we're going to get more videos of this versus that and generic build content that nobody fucking likes. And I guess we're just going to have to wait for a new update about where Hoonigan's moving to and what the plans are for the brand as a whole. If there's going to be one at all. Because, again, all of the content creators that we got to watch and that represented Hoonigan over the years don't work there anymore. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, because next week, the next time I make a video like this, we're going to be talking about Roadkill and their similar fall from grace. Thank you all so much for staying this long. If you made it to the end, I really appreciate it. Consider following me on Instagram, and y'all have a good day.